Hi guys, and welcome back to the Back in Time Watch channel. We have the beautiful lake as our setting. It's a beautiful sunny day in Sweden. It's really cold and it's quite windy, so I'm gonna find some shelter to do the rest of the video. But I just wanted you to see, this is where I live. I don't live in the lake. I actually live in a house right over there somewhere, and we have the lake. Perfect when you want to go swimming in the summer. It's close, it's really nice. We have the church and we have the school. My two sons go to that school and it's a really nice place to live. And since it's a really beautiful day, I thought it would be the perfect setting to check out two beautiful watches. The Rolex GMT Master II Pepsi 2018 edition and a vintage GMT Master. Let's find some shelter so I can speak without you hearing a lot of wind, and let's look at the watches. And there it is, the GMT Master II. You know, when I first knew that I wanted a Rolex GMT Master, I immediately knew that I wanted to have a new one. I'm actually not a vintage guy. I actually, when I bought this watch, first I bought it used. I found a good price from a guy I trusted and I bought it. But you know, I'm really stupid that way. I couldn't shake the feeling and the knowledge that someone else had owned it before me, and that someone else had worn it, and that someone else had gunked it up with his sweat. And I just couldn't shake the feeling, and I had to sell the used one and buy myself a new one. I didn't buy it from an AD because that's impossible for me. to get on the waiting list is a big reach for me. So I actually bought it at a premium price with stickers, plastics, and that's quite stupid, buying something when the bubble is at its height. But you know, when your heart wants something, it just wants something, ain't it so? So here we have it, the Rolex GMT Master II, and it's really a beautiful watch. You know, people give it a lot of critique for the bezel, because they think it's let's turn it over here and see it in direct sunlight. They think that the blue isn't really blue, it's kind of a purpley thing in some lights, and they think that the red is pink in some lights, but I really haven't experienced that at all. I think that the red is most of the times it's kind of a burgundy red, and I really love burgundy red. And the blue is perfect dark, yeah, it's almost purple sometimes, but that's the reason I wanted to buy this watch. I really like purple. I haven't really dusted it off here. You have the crown, here's the back. I've been using it for a week, maybe a week and a half. I bought it just before Christmas, and I'm really loving this watch. You know, one of the most important things for me on a watch is the bracelet. I can't I've tried many times. I've tried leather straps, I've tried NATOs, I've tried rubber. I just need a metal strap, and this Jubilee is one of the best steel bracelets out there. It's just really comfortable on the hand, lightweight. It just shapes with your arm, with your hand, with your wrist, and it's just perfect. I love the clasp. You know, one thing about the clasp, on the Submariner clasp, it's a little longer. I think the Submariner clasp is like over here, and the GMT clasp is a little shorter, but I actually would prefer if the clasp was a little bit longer, because I like that feel on the downside of my wrist. But nevertheless, I mean, you've seen a lot of reviews of this watch before, so I'm not going to go over the specifics. I'm just going to show it to you and talk about a little how I feel about it and why I feel that about it, and just let you see it in a beautiful setting on a sunny day. So there we have it, GMT Master II. To me, this is the perfect Pepsi watch. A couple of weeks ago, I thought my Tudor GMT was the perfect Pepsi for me, but I'll talk about that in another video, how it came to be that I ended up buying this one, because I really didn't want to buy it in the beginning. I thought it was too small, but here we are. I'm wearing it. So let's take a look at the vintage Pepsi. And here we go, guys. Here's the vintage one. And you know, you can immediately see how this watch pops. I mean, I know I got a comment on that on my video where I compared the Tudor against the Tag, and when I used the word pops, someone said that was a hipster word, but I don't care. I think it's a cool word, and I really like soda pops, so I'm gonna use it. But you see the bezel? You see the striking red and the really blue, marine blue or something? It's beautiful. It's really an eye catcher. You just I mean, come on, just walking around in town and just you see it immediately. Even my arm with a lot of tattoos and a lot of colors, you spot the watch right away. It's a really precious and cool watch. And you know, the feeling that this watch, the knowledge of it being vintage, is really a cool thing to think about. And let's take a look at the bezel. These vintage GMTs have aluminum bezels, which makes it have, in a couple of years, it gets faded, and that's what a lot of collectors like. They like the faded look of the bezel. It grows some patina, and the red turns a little more purple over the years, and the blue kind of gets more light blue over the years. And that's a really cool fact. On the new model, the ceramic bezel, it's supposed to look the same forever, I guess. The ceramic bezel doesn't fade, doesn't grow a patina. And the bezel here is bidirectional, and it means that it moves both ways, but it doesn't have any clicks. It just spins around freely, and you can stop it wherever you want. And that's quite great, actually, because, you know, one of my big pet peeves on watches, and I've experienced it on a lot of Seikos and even on a Oris, is when the bezel doesn't align with the 12 o'clock marker. And in this way, you can adjust it yourself. So that's pretty great, actually. You see the crown guards with the logo. And yeah, this is really practical. The push pins, so you can easily switch out this Jubilee and put on a NATO or something else. That's really quite functional, and I really would like to have that on my new GMT Master II. That would be really practical. Even though I really wouldn't use it that much, because I just said that I only like steel bracelets. But still, to know it's there, that would be really cool. Yeah, so why don't we just take a look at the bezel on the new GMT Master. And there she is, the beauty of the ceramic bezel. You know, when I'm doing this kind of video, I just fall in love with my watches even more. Let's check the bezel, okay? As I said, it's a ceramic bezel, and it is also bidirectional, spins both ways, but it has 2 clicks for every hour. Perfectly aligned, no play whatsoever, and it's really perfect. You know, I thought that the bezel on this one would be the same bezel action as in the Submariner. I don't know why, maybe because I don't know shit about Rolex, but I thought it would be, you know, with the click 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 sound and everything. But this is quite assuring. It has a really assuring clicks. You know when you've moved it, and it's spot on centered, and that's really important for me. Yeah, because it I mean, if a watch that costs this much, even at retail, didn't have a centered bezel, that would be a catastrophe, I think. And there we have the crown guards, the logo. You know, one thing that I really am quite disappointed on with Rolexes is the back. I don't get it. I think it's I mean, I get it in some way. I think maybe it's because of it's supposed to be stylish in some way, or but why don't they have any markings on their case backs? That's just boring to me. They could do something really cool here. I really love a cool case back, but they didn't. And anyway, the bracelet, comparing it to the vintage one, you see those are quite substantially bigger pieces, not hollow, and there's really some flex, which is good, because I think it wouldn't be comfortable to wear at all if it didn't have any flex, but it's not nearly as jingly jangly as the vintage one. And yeah, so why don't we just check them out side by side? Here we have them, the past and the present, 1972, 2018. I mean, you see the clear differences, but you can also see the clear similarities. Sure, the bezel, ceramic, aluminum. Mercedes hands is the same. The red GMT hand is the same. GMT Master II, GMT Master. Cyclops, Cyclops. In a perfect world, honestly, I would own both these watches. Like a cool piece of history and a cool piece of where the history has led us today. So, the vintage Rolex isn't mine. Actually, it's a friend of mine's. And actually, that friend just started out his new business. And this is somewhat of a plug, but I'm not sponsored in any way. I just happen to know this guy. He loves vintage watches. He lent me this watch for the video, and he's gonna lend me more watches, I hope. So I thought I'd give him return the favor and plug his his business. This exact watch, Rolex GMT Master 1972, can be bought at watchoutforsale.com. He just launched his website the day after New Year's, and he sells he has a lot of vintage watches in his shop, and he sells stuff for you. If you have a watch you want to sell and you want someone to help you sell it, you can reach out to watchoutforsale.com and they'll help you. I think that's the way to do this thing. You know, a lot of YouTubers, they get sent watches from different companies, and maybe they feel obliged to say something positive, and they can't speak can't speak their mind or say anything negative about the watch, because the company will stop sending watches. But in this case, it's quite different. This is a personal friend of mine doing me a favor, lending me this watch so I could do this comparison, and I thought I'll do him a favor right back and plugging his business in this video. And really, it's a vintage watch. I can be totally honest about it, because it's not me trying to sell this watch to you. The vintage watch community is a very specific type of watch collectors, and either you want it or you don't want it, and nothing I could say would make you want to buy it more or less. So I think this is a really cool collaboration with watchoutforsale.com, and I hope we do a lot of this stuff again, because comparing these two has been a real pleasure of mine. As I said before, even though I'm not a vintage guy, I would love to own a piece like this, but actually I can't find myself ever paying this money for a vintage watch. It's just not me. So if you want to buy it, step over to watchoutforsale.com and he'll really give you a good deal. It's one of the greatest guys I know to buy and sell stuff from. So yeah, and that does it. That's the end of this video. The comparison between two GMT Masters, the past and the present, the vintage and the new. Which one would you buy? Which one do you like the most? Do you like the look of the vintage and you don't care if it's old or worn by someone else? Or do you prefer the look of the new one? Anyway, hit me up with some comments down below. Subscribe if you like this video. I'm hoping to put out a lot more, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.